it. So that probably means that there's a lot of work that goes on in the background when it comes to assigning a particular job based on the background of the candidate. Yeah.
So there is this, thank you, Yogesh. There is this wonderful question that suddenly has cropped up among a lot of young people who have joined industry. And I too have seen that in my team members at Intel. The question is, and it is more so relevant today. Let me read it out verbatim. It was one of the students who sent it out. One is expected to put in large hours of time in industries. How do you ensure that you enjoy work? What steps are taken in your companies? And how can one be excited to invent new things while working large hours? So I would start off with Preetham and then go to Dhananjay and Lakshmi.
Okay, I think I would really want to fix that perception that industry expects you to work long hours. I don't think industry expects you to work long hours at all. I think they certainly expect you to be work. They certainly expect you to work efficiently. And when we say we are expecting you to work efficiently, what it means is it goes back to the question that you asked, Javed. I think it was a great question that you asked, Professor Ganapathy, right? See, I think members need to identify which problem do they want to focus on and how much time do they want to spend on every problem. I think that is one thing that most engineers miss out, and that's really why they really don't have a balance in their own work. See, the problem to be able to close on the final solution that you're expected to deliver in an industry, you might encounter 10 different problems. Not every problem needs to be solved by yourself, and it needs to be solved totally by the entire system put together around with you, but not by yourself. I think that lack of focus on what problem needs to be solved first and what problem can be discussed with everybody else and resolved, I think that kind of lack of focus, followed by the fact that I think there is this tendency in especially fresh engineers to learn a lot, right? I think what I've also noticed in especially young graduates, mostly master's program graduates, is the lack of focus to resolve the problem that they've been assigned to and then finish it. I think there's this tendency of jumping around and trying to figure out what everything else. I think it's a great attitude, trying to know beyond what you're asked to or what is being done outside what you've been asked to. But I think losing focus or not being able to do that is what really causes things to lose control. But I think from an industry standpoint, certainly I agree with one thing, that there is pressure on and off during the entire cycle of a product development. And the cycle during the high pressure times, I think as a team who's passionate to deliver the product, I think it is natural that you end up putting long hours. But that is not as a way to sustain as a organization rule or as a philosophy. I don't think I think pretty much every organization that I know has put a lot of checks and balances in place so that people don't lose focus or work-life balance, especially youngsters. And I think most organizations even have special members who and special setups to enable, they have some kind of work-life balance. Another piece that I do want to touch upon, and I think it's kind of taken lightly in India at least, and that's something that I really respect, at least in the Western culture, is a tendency for youngsters to pick up a hobby. I think hobby in India is a very loosely used word, pretty much to fill up the last few lines in a resume, right? But I think that actually plays a major role in trying to give you a balance between what you're passionate about and what is that is really giving you your day-to-day life. I think that distinction we lose out because we've not really inculcated the habit of doing something beyond what is asked to. As a student, we've put 100% energy into education, and then we come out and then we get into an organization and then we try to spend equal amount there because we've lost the tendency of having a hobby. I think trying to identify your passion and what you're good at, which helps you run your organization, I think is very important. So you need to have more than one, loosely to say, avocation when you're in an office so that, you can put an end to what you're working and go do something else. I think these 2 points I'll close.
Dhananjay?
Yeah. No, I actually agree with almost everything that Pritam said. I think working in industry, I think you should think of it as you're going to have to work hard, and there'll be times when you have to work smart. And if you work smart at the right time, maybe you will help a lot of people with not having to work long hours, right? So I think plan carefully any project, figure out what the right problems to solve are. There's a lot of effort that goes behind that. That's the part of the working smart thing. How do you solve a problem? How do you structure something? What are the groups you'll get involved? Right. So there's actually quite a lot of emphasis on that in all companies that I know. And yes, occasionally yes, there is working hard too, right? But I wouldn't say that people expect you to work long hours or work weekends or this goes on forever. It's not like that. There are situations when there is a major project deadline. Maybe there's some fire that's happened and some bugs been caught. I'm just giving some ideas, right? Yeah, sometimes it is all hands on deck, right? But I tell you what happens. Generally, the engineers working on those projects have this sense of ownership, and if you ask at least most of them, they will do it because there's this thrill and this satisfaction of having delivered some major complex project, right? So the working hard should be taken in that context. Nobody expects you to work hard all the time. I don't think that's even assumed, right? Like Peter said, the work-life balance is a big focus area. How you balance, the long hours you spend or the effort you do put in at work. You got to have a passion outside of work. That automatically balances a lot of this. And then sometimes people are just their passion is work. I mean, then that happens, then it doesn't. The WLP doesn't come in the way. The other point you raised, I'd like to touch upon that. That does come up often, which is how do you innovate when there's so much work going on, so much pressure going on. I think maybe you want to look at it slightly differently, right? Innovation, you don't put time aside for innovation, right? What happens is it's an outcome of your building core expertise. If you are a domain expert because you've spent those 3, 4, 5 years, or you've come in with a master's or PhD, that you're working hard on these problems, trying to build new capabilities, then once you develop that core domain expertise, you will find that you will innovate automatically. And there are so many opportunities. Not every innovation is this fantastic 20-year open problem that comes out of the patent that is like this world-beating thing, right? That's not what people are looking for with everyday innovation, right? I would say for those getting into industry, continue building your core domain expertise. Look out for opportunities in your everyday work. Even if you think it is routine work, there are opportunities. For example, maybe you can automate something, right? And instead of sitting and working for 8 hours a day, maybe you build a script that does everything with you, doing something else, right? So there are opportunities like that. There are opportunities for reducing area, for coming up with the next maybe 100 dB or 2 of improvement all the time. But that happens automatically when you build a core domain expertise, right? So I do want to stress that point too. Innovation is not something